We're live. All right, folks, if you are just now tuning in, we've had some technical issues. We've had some technical glitches, some technical difficulties. I'm not sure if you heard the first part of our conversation, so we're going to do it again. This is part of our Journeys series that we do, where we have time to interview different people in the congregation, different people in the community. A couple of weeks ago, we had Kevin Schaefer share a little bit about his life, his story, using music. About a month ago, we had Josh Jones, and we shared a little bit about his life story. Tonight, we're going to hear from Koben Puckett. And Koben has a real compelling story, and you're going to want to hear what Koben has to share. To start off with, though, we want to encourage our audience to interact with us through Facebook or through YouTube. And so we're going to start off with just some simple questions with Koben. We've already asked one, so I don't know if you guys have heard this or not. But the question I had for Koben initially was, what is your favorite cartoon?
And
as a child.
As a child, and I didn't have television before 7, 8 years old. And so I was like candy for watching bull riding VHS tapes.
All right, and you're going to see,
what I grew up
and you're going to see some bull riding. Hopefully, you're going to see a bull riding clip.
But for cartoons, Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb,
the best.
And you're still into it.
And I'll still watch.
And you kind of do it. You said with your
The
sister.
sibling thing, yeah.
All right, you and Payson kind of watch it.
Yes.
And just kind of enjoy that together. All right, I cannot tell if our audience is interacting with us or giving us questions on my iPad here, but I am going to jump into the next question. So you've already shared.
What's your cartoon?
Oh, my cartoon. Well, I was a Super Friends guy.
Okay.
I was the Wonder Twin Powers. You guys remember that kind of stuff? I love Super Friends. Anyways, that's where I was at.
Nice.
Maybe I watch the Smurfs every now and then with my sister, but that was for her sake, not for mine. All right. The next question I want to ask you, since you already talked about watching bull riding as a kid, I mean, you're watching VHS bull riding. When did you first get on a horse? When was your first experience on a horse?
My first memory of being on a horse is I was on my mom's barrel horse called Ladybugs, bareback, and she was leading her back from the arena to the barn, and she shook, and I fell off, and I just remember getting stickers on me. I don't remember how old I was, but here's an example of my horse riding. Is like, we grew up, we were born into a ranch. Dad managed a ranch in southwest New Mexico. 40 sections is what it was, so a section's a square mile. I, as a 5-year-old kid, would go help gather cattle. And
when you're gathering the cattle, are you on a horse doing that?
On a horse by
as a
myself,
5-year-old.
As a 5-year-old, not with another, not on a horse with a parent, and would keep up. And
Wow.
when you're gathering land like that, one pasture could be 7, 8 sections, 7, 8 square miles. 5 years old riding a horse on that. So pretty much know how to do it better than I know how to walk.
All right, audience, we want to know about your first horse riding experience. When was the first time you found yourself on a horse? Now, your memory of the first time you were on a horse
was falling off and getting stickers.
So your mom put you up on the saddle.
Yeah, and then just no saddle, bareback. Just
bareback.
Yeah, and was leading the horse back to the barn.
And you fell off.
Because the horse shook. And
so you figured at that point, bull riding was going to be in your future. If you're falling off horses at the age of 2 or 3, it's
I
not.
don't know how old I was. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it fits, right?
All right. All right. I'm looking for some people to interact with us about their first horse riding experience. How old were you? Where did that happen? What was that like? And so we're looking for that. Now, did everybody in your family have their own horse?
Yes.
Okay, so
I know when we were in that stage of life.
Okay. Did you have more than 4 horses, or did you guys just have the 4 horses?
There was that's hard to remember when you're that young. I know once I was older, like older grade school area, middle school, we'd have anywhere from 3 to 5 horses as a family, kind of right in there.
Now, when you're riding horses as a kid, are they small little ponies?
No.
Or they're big horses?
Not me.
What kind of horses are these?
Quarter horse.
Quarter horse
is what they're called. Like here in Amarillo, we got the Quarter Horse Museum.
And that's the kind of horse you guys would use.
That's the kind of horse, yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I've noticed Mean Jean said she rode a horse in Big Bend with her parents.
Oh, fun.
So have you been down to the Big Bend area?
No, I would want to go someday.
Okay. All right.
I've not been.
All right. Now, when you were riding horses, are you a cowboy at that point? Are you moving cattle? Or are you is it leisurely?
No. Basically born a cowboy.
Okay.
Like, yes.
Do you remember the movie City Slickers? Were you old enough for that movie?
Don't remember.
These guys go on an experience where they herd some cattle for the first time on horses, and they had a rough time. But it's kind of a comedy. So,
nice.
All right, I'm going to switch to another subject and get your feedback. Now, you didn't necessarily grow up on a farm per se, but since this is kind of an agriculturally based story that Koben is going to share with us, we want to know what your favorite farm animal is. So audience, we'd love for you to jump in with your favorite farm animal.
What was it? What did you guys like?
What did you guys like? How about you? Do you have a favorite farm animal? Is it a horse?
Yes.
Is it a horse? Is it a bull?
It's a bull.
It's a bull.
It would be a bull all the way.
Okay.
My parents, I don't remember it, but they tell on me that I had an imaginary bull as a pet and that they had to leave the door open for it when I would come in so I could bring my imaginary bull in. So it's that bad.
I love it.
And I still love bulls to this day.
Now, bulls kind of scare me. I mean, I've got an uncle and an aunt who live in central Illinois and have a farm, and they kept a bull in kind of a separate area, and we were always a little nervous about being out there with the bull, but that didn't scare you at all.
No.
All right. We've got people that like cows. We have people mentioning pigs. My daughter actually said she likes pigs.
My sister loves pigs.
Okay, so Payson loves pigs. What about
maybe it's a little sister thing.
It could be. What about your parents? Would they have a favorite farm animal? Would you know?
I have no clue.
No clue. All right. Hannah McNeil shared that she never had one of these, but she would love a dwarf donkey.
Yeah, no.
All right.
But nice.
All right. All right. That'll definitely be shared around the office tomorrow. All right. I've got one more kind of fun question before we jump into our session this evening. Where's a place you visited for a family vacation? So audience, where's a spot that maybe your family went on a vacation? Where's a place it can be America, it can be outside of America. Where's a place that you visited as a family on vacation? And you had shared with me that your last vacation was what, 7, 8 years ago, maybe?
Right, a good 7, 8 years ago, Dolores, Colorado, and it's we go there for a family reunion every other year. I haven't been able to go since, but that was something I've done since I've been injured.
Okay.
And it was pretty neat.
Okay. What about before your injury, Koben? What kind of places did your family visit for vacation?
My last vacation memory before being injured was going down to like Port Aransas, hanging out on the beach. And literally, I mean, hanging out on the beach, I don't get in the water.
Oh,
now,
you were not a water kid?
No, now my sister, she'd take off out on a boogie board and do it. I was fine walking along on the sand.
You didn't want to get in the water. You're riding bulls, but you're not wanting to. Were you scared of the water? Did you just not like the water? You're scared of the water, but you're comfortable riding a bull.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
For real.
I think for our family, I have really enjoyed, we go to national parks a lot.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, and so we've been to Yellowstone, Yosemite, Glacier National Park. I really liked Yosemite. Beautiful. As you drive in, there's waterfalls, El Capitan. It's just a beautiful, beautiful spot. And we went as a family when the kids were smaller. We did some hiking. And we like to hike when we do the family vacation kind of thing. So that's something that we enjoyed experiencing. Yeah. All right, so what the audience needs to know is for Koben Puckett, this man's not afraid of a cow or a bull, but water kind of scares him.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm looking down through here. Some people go to Red River. Several people go to Red River, New Mexico. Have you ever been to Red River?
I have.
Okay, you've been to Red River. Pam Albertson mentions Cloudcroft, New Mexico. I have no idea where that is. Do you know where it is?
Yes, I know where it is.
You have New Mexican roots. Where's that at? Where's Cloudcroft?
It's just north of Alamogordo. Do you
Oh,
know where that is?
wow. I know approximately where that is. All right. I need to find out what Pam and them did in that area. A lot of people are going to the mountains here. Hannah McNeil is sharing that she went to Bear Lake in Colorado, the best. I'll be curious to see if she's scared of the water, but I bet she got into it. All right. All right, Koben, we wanted to have just a little bit of time to have some fun, to interact with our audience, but we want to jump into your story a little bit. You and your family have been a part of the Central family for over 10 years.
Yes.
You guys came here when you were a senior in high school or just graduated?
Just graduated in 2007.
And at that point, you were bull riding. I mean, you had been bull riding for some time.
Yes.
You showed some video clips to me the other day, and you were competing against adults, and you were a teenager.
Right.
And so this was something you had always wanted to do as a child. You always wanted to be a cowboy. You always wanted to ride bulls, things of that nature. And so you were already right in the middle of that when you guys moved here to Amarillo from New Mexico, correct?
Correct. Clayton, New Mexico.
Okay. And then about when does your accident happen right after that?
September of 2008.
Okay. So September of 2008. So one of the things we want to do before we jump into your story is we want to show our audience, we're hoping the technology is working. We're wanting to show the audience a clip. It's about a 2 to 3 minute clip of part of your life, especially when you were younger, and then a little bit of your life after the accident.
Okay.
And that just gives people a picture of a glimpse of how difficult things were, especially right after that accident. So I'm going to technology, and hopefully we're going to be able to jump right into the video of Koben as always wanting to be a cowboy, riding bulls, and then a little bit of pictures of you after the accident, doing some rehab, things of that nature.
Cool.
Are we good to go with that? In the meantime, as we're
I
trying.
got one for you. You mentioned you went to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I was privileged to get to drive through Yellowstone, going to rodeos.
Okay.
Bull rides, actually, PBRs.
Okay.
And so that was, as far as really calling it vacation, but I'm doing my job. I'm going to traveling, rodeoing, and driving on that place. So cool.
It's beautiful.
Getting to
Yeah. When we went to Yellowstone, you can go to the hot pools area that is beautiful. There's buffalo everywhere. I remember the first time we drove into that area, we stopped to look at this buffalo that was from about me to maybe a little bit past you.
Yeah.
We could not believe, we couldn't believe it was a buffalo. By the end of the week, Koben, we had seen so many buffalo that we just drove right past them. They were no longer.
over the The first one was wow, and then
That's
then
right.
you were like, okay.
Now, some people would get out and try to feed the buffalo or even play with the buffalo. And if you get on YouTube, you can see what happens to people with that.
Yes.
They're, I think, even a little more dangerous than bulls. Have you ever ridden a buffalo?
No. I have not.
Okay. All right. Well, it is, I agree with you, though, that Yellowstone area is beautiful. And I think I shared with you the other day as we were driving through there, rodeos everywhere. Kind of little stadiums is what I would call them, kind of rodeo stadiums. When did you first start competing? We're going to talk a little bit about your story until we can get this video going. When did you first start competing?
19 years old, junior rodeos.
Okay.
Getting on rope and steers is
Okay.
you compete on.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow bull riding at that young of an age.
At age 13, I was getting on junior bulls. So
Okay.
bulls that were, for somebody young, youth.
Okay.
And by age 15, I wanted to go to high school rodeos real bad, and Dad wasn't quite sure if he wanted to let me go. He held me back, didn't let me go my freshman year. Sophomore year, went to high school rodeos, and all the friends there, they were going to some amateur rodeos too, the guys that rode real good. That's, open events.
Yeah.
There's a TCRA, which is in the Panhandle, Texas Cowboys Rodeo Association, and NMRA, New Mexico Rodeo Association. And my dad talked into letting me go because We raised bucking bulls at the time, and
Okay.
a bull that we owned at that time had made the PBR finals.
Okay.
And so I got on him in the practice pen twice. I bucked off of him the first time. Dad said if I ride him, he'll let me go. And I rode double aught, a PBR World Finals bull, a current, as high a rank bull as you can get. I rode him right there in my house, and Dad was like, okay, you can go. And then I started competing at these amateur rodeos, like what my dad did. He went to NMRAs and PCAs back in his time. And
So Dan, when he was younger, he did this kind of thing?
yeah.
Okay.
So I was competing at these and winning. I actually ended up at age 16 finishing second for the year at NMRAs, New Mexico Rodeo Association, going all over the state, competing against adults as a 16-year-old kid.
Wow. Okay.
So,
When do you go from that to professional?
18.
18. You have to be
As soon as
18.
I have to be 18. As soon as I turned 18, I bought my PBR permit and stuff and jumped in with some older guys, Corey Navarre, Dusty LeBeth, who had been there, done that, knew what they were doing. And they took me under their wing and just kind of helped show me the ropes, and I took off from there. It
Wow.
was fun.
Well, let's do this then. We want to see some clips of Koben Puckett riding bulls, and I think we've got that. Is that right? All right, folks. We'll come right back with you here in a second. We'll let you watch Koben ride some bulls. All right, folks, hopefully you had an opportunity to see Koben as a child riding bulls, participating in rodeos, and then the latter half of that video, you saw parts of Koben's life after the accident. And Koben, why don't we just start there? Why don't you just start sharing with our audience your story, your story, and we want you to be as real and honest and authentic as you can be. Just share with us the difficulties and the highlights, the tough times and the times that maybe you felt like you had really persevered, the times when you felt like God was near, and maybe the times you felt like God was distant. Why don't you go ahead and share with us what was life like right after that accident?
Yeah, just to touch on right before it and then go into it. The life I was living was traveling with professional bull riders that had been to the finals, flying coast to coast. Got on bulls in upstate New York. I got on bulls in Oregon. I got on bulls in Canada. And the year I turned 19, I was considered one of the up-and-comers at the PBR Touring Pro events, which is the same type of event I put on here in Amarillo.
Okay.
And they would use me as the introduction at a couple of them.
Okay.
I had won 4 of those Touring Pro events as a 18 and 19-year-old. I'd been 90 points over 4 times that year. And it's just was like, it's like secondhand nature for me to just do. I loved it, I craved it. My little bull riding ledger journal, I had goals written down, and I spent time in Scripture. I had scriptures written down in my ledger, and I had been grown up with awesome parents to look up to, really pointed me in the right direction. My mom really instilled a lot of Bible reading time in me, and it was my roots. I always had faith growing through those times. Wandered off, a little bit as a kid, and you're kind of trying some things, but I turned right back to that. And so being injured at that early of an age, just absolutely right away, just press into God and reach out and call out for prayer. My injury was a cervical C5 neck injury, spinal cord injury in Mesquite, Texas, September 6, 2008.
So this was in a competition. You were tossed from a bull.
Yep, just landed on my head.
Okay.
Perfect fall or a bad fall. I'd landed on my head before, it just landed and it broke. And then I made a phone call after that. I remember making a phone call to my dad, and it was the hardest phone call I've ever made. I had to tell him it wasn't good.
Okay.
So I lose conscious when they load me up in the ambulance. I go to the hospital, Baylor. I was in intensive care, ICU, for 2 weeks, intubated on a ventilator, couldn't breathe on my own. I don't remember. Another 2 weeks in a step-down ICU. I don't even know if I really remember that. I remember when they started some of the rehabilitation. My first rehabilitation was swallowing practice in front of an x-ray machine, because that flap didn't work, and if I swallowed it, it'd go straight into my lungs. I was getting weaned off of the ventilator, learning to swallow. Later, it took an assistant to help my left hand up to my mouth to try to practice feeding myself. Right hand, no mobility, was in a chair that everything was strapped in, even head on a headrest if it fell off. And I got sent home like that. And that's where I was at. There was a physical therapist, pulled my dad aside on the way out. And he said, you might as well get that boy to face reality. That's all he's ever going to have, and he needs to learn to live with it. The sad thing is that physical therapist is living with only one reality, and that's earth without a God, without a creator, without a body that can renew and heal itself. And he didn't know the try and tenacity I had or the faith I had. And no, I'm not all the way better. I'm not saying we know the perfect fix, but we left and we tried to pursue therapy. I got a setback. In December, had an emergency bypass surgery, had to go up to BSA, and I was 76 pounds at the time, a distended stomach, and it looked very bad. It looked like a concentration camp style. I had been throwing up green bile for 3 days and nights and had to be rushed in a surgery. And they rerouted my intestines and had a feeding tube. So this is like ground zero, and I'm finally, once I get my strength up, we fly out to California. It formerly used to be called Project Walk, and that's where we learned to do the type of rehabilitation that I do to this day. It was a ground floor and really helped in learning that rehab. They took me from the state I'm telling you to at least being able to get out of bed and stay out of bed, 6-7 hours in a day, because otherwise I was pretty much bedridden in that type of state. And I had some endurance where I could roll around, not me, get pushed around to go see things, and then was starting to be able to eat with some adaptive silverware. I learned the type of therapy I need. Funding ran out. We had to come back home. We got some gym equipment, kind of kept me healthy. And then and looking for more options, it was my mother that really looked and searched. She dug in and found some stem cell information. We went down to Austin, Texas, and this is where I still go to this day to get stem cell injections. I haven't had one since 2018 though. And we found Dr. Scott Spann, chatted with him, and we planned a trip over to Cyprus to perform a laminectomy and draw out my bone marrow, spin it down, inject the stem cells back in and around my injury site. And he cleaned it up, cleaned up some of the scar tissue there and sewed me back up and put me back together. Any doctor you talk to at that time would have said that can't be done. There's still doctors to this day said it can't be done. Well, they did it with me, and Spann's done it with over 20 patients since. They've all gotten recovery because of it. And that was a large stepping stone, and that I was 3 years post-injury when I did this, mind you. It was 2011 when I finally had this done. There's an old rule of thumb that they say if you're paralyzed, that 3 years is your deadline, that 3 years you're not going to change after.
Okay, you won't make progress after that 3-year period, okay?
And because of stem cells, exercise therapy, and hanging on to hope that it is possible, not losing that, still believing, is I've made more change in my recovery past 3 years than any of the previous 3.
Yeah.
So
you've made a lot of progress. You shared with me the other day, you couldn't even hold your arms up.
Exactly.
After the injury, and now you
for
can.
Several years.
Yeah, you can operate a cell phone, you can write a letter, you can feed yourself. There's a lot you can do with your arms and with your hands.
Yes.
Are the doctors amazed at that sometimes when they see that?
Yes, it's wonderful, and the people I work with, they're so happy for me. And yeah, it is amazing. I've got a neurological doc in Austin, not affiliated with my recovery team or stem cell injections that I go do now. I just inject them into the lumbar of my spine like an intrathecal injection to send the stem cells into the spinal fluid. They're free to move around. And then I engage in that intense exercise therapy like you got to come see my gym that I have set up. And just over the years, I've increased what I can do. 2015, I couldn't lean forward off the backrest of my chair. I can lean forward off the backrest of my chair and back. I with assistance can stand. With assistance, I can get on my elbows and knees in the floor. I mean, it's night and day. The quality of life I have because of hanging on to hope and pursuing, and I'm so blessed to have that opportunity, blessed to have the parents that fight for me and invested that in me. And now I take charge of it and I line up what I do, and it's been really good to go fast through that. And it's been neat. And
your parents have played a huge role in all of this, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Very huge.
I did go to Koben's house the other day, and this young man has a full gym setup, and he works out 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yes.
He is doing.
I'm not in this wheelchair, and I'm out of this wheelchair on equipment or in the floor.
Yeah, and you have some physical therapists who help you with that, but you are working. You are motivated. You have hope and you are motivated to improve your condition, and you're getting after it. It's impressive.
Yes.
It's impressive.
And over in life, I've had to set the foundation of where my hope is.
Okay.
So when I went to California, I had hope, like, I'm going to walk out of here, you know. It didn't happen. Disappointment. You got three options with disappointment. You can be bitter. Disappointment can lead to despair, which leads to depression, or it can lead you into greater faith. And I've experienced all three.
Okay.
After not being able to walk back from California, disappointed. And I'd say after the first stem cell injection and going over to Cyprus, the hope of it just being lightning fast happening, and nerves grow the slowest of anything in the body. We're giving them a boost by putting stem cells in there to grow, and then you've got to create a stimulus. Without stress, the body isn't going to change, and that stress is exercise, forcing my body into situations that it wouldn't normally. Exercising below the injury level, as you got to come see at my house.
Yeah.
If you follow me on social media, Koben Puckett at Facebook, or what's the other one, Instagram.
Yeah.
Y'all can see some of the stuff I do. So I'd say after that first stem cell injection, I got bitter.
Okay.
And
okay. Let's stop there for a second. Let's talk about your relationship with God at that point. When you're in these periods of bitterness and frustration, you had share with the audience a little bit about the kind of where you were at that point in your relationship with God when it came to just even reading the Bible because of some of the limitations that you had physically.
Yeah, I decided to throw a condition on it. I don't know, probably around 2012, 13 area. It was like, I can't turn the pages of a book. God, I'm not going to read the Bible unless you heal my hands. It's like, I'm done. I'm giving up on you, because I felt given up on by him.
Okay.
And I was bitter, and that bitterness led to bitterness towards his creation, which is his people. I didn't care for them, and I definitely, you can't speed up recovery, but sometimes you can slow it down. And I'm sure I slowed it down a little bit in that time. We ran out of funding to do any more stem cell injections. Just one thing on top of another. Not able to continue exercise therapy in that little time frame. And I just started trying to numb it.
Okay.
Got in with a group of friends that would help me numb it. I started drinking quite a bit. I'd go twist off and just try to numb it and drown it. And there was, just being real, being honest with you, there was one night, and I'm talking, these friends have to help me drink the beer because I can't hardly drink it myself at this stage in my therapy. I can pick up a water bottle and drink it now. And I can pick up a glass. I'm so much better off. And just to say where I'm at now before I keep going is, I haven't had more than 2 alcoholic beverages in one setting since 2016.
Okay.
Because I'm so devoted to recovery and therapy, and I don't ever want to be not in a sober place of mind.
Okay. So maybe 2016, it was a low point in all of this.
2013, 14.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you've been so hurt. Maybe you've had your things go in life so hard against you. You just want to get rid of it. You want to numb it. I'm going to share with you guys that I got to a point I was so low, had drank with some friends, and this friend I still love, and we're like reunited and compatible again, old Colt Clevenger. But he let me bum a weed off of him, and I made it my whole professional career without ever doing drugs. And that night I was drunk and took a hit, and I remember being in a vehicle with the heater blasting, and I felt scared. And in that moment, out of my mind as I cried out to God. And kid you not, I felt his presence, and he came. And it's not like I turned around instantly there, but I changed after that. I didn't go back there, and something in me changed. And little by little, I started pressing back into him, started searching for different ways. And I started dying to that old self, dying to that, trying to numb the pain. And I started trying to find a different way. Started finding hope to live again. And I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have the progress I have. I wouldn't.
It's okay, brother. It's all right. It's all right.
I wouldn't have the friends I have to this day had I not chose to turn around. Your life, you're not going to go anywhere if you're trying to escape God. If you're trying to numb the pain, however you're doing it, you got to take all that to Him, and I did. And you got to take that all to Him and just let Him know.
Yeah. So for you,
every single bit of it, and slowly pulling out of that pit, and started finding motivation to try to do something in life, try to help others in life.
Yeah.
I got the idea to try to get back involved in the sport that I loved, bull riding. And,
okay.
I was bitter at that. I didn't want to be around it. And with allowing myself to get into the Word through technology and the phone and coming back in around Christian friends, softening my heart back up, and my poor family, putting them through, that. Like, my friend would bring me home and they would have to put me to bed and have to have help puking. I mean, you don't do that to your family, and I hate that I did. And I'm sorry, but they know, and it's so much better. But I came up with the idea of putting on a bull riding.
Okay.
And so my first bull riding I put on was in 2014. And I pulled it off. It wasn't sanctioned with the PBR. And the year after, 2015, it was sanctioned with the PBR, Professional Bull Riders Tourance Pro Stop, like what I went to. And man, my hope's up again. I'm wanting to raise funding for myself and others in my situation who have gone through what I've been through, paralysis. And it worked. It worked because of a couple great friends that honestly backed me. I would have had a loss that year, and I had some people say, I want to see you get this done, and they backed me.
So they put up the financial capital so you could pull off the event.
Yes.
Okay.
And we got to do it, and it was a success. That first couple of events raised close to $10,000 for a nonprofit called the Press On Foundation that my mother set up for me. It's got my Dr. Scott Spann, founder of Westlake Orthopedics, on the board that used to do stem cell injections. Unfortunately, there's been a new ruling passed on the Texas State Medical Board that doesn't allow stem cell injections to take place.
Okay.
And that happened in 2018. The last one, we're hoping to get that fixed.
Okay.
We need to promote stem cells. But he's on the board. Jackie Boyd, wife of Justice Jeff Boyd. I know you're familiar with him, yes?
Yeah.
So we raise funds for that. That scholarships people like myself to go down to Austin for that specialized spinal cord injury exercise therapy. And after that 2015 event, I got to go get an injection again in 2015. Engaged in therapy, really increased my therapy hours and gathered up some more equipment. And that's when the change of being able to lean up and off the backrest of my chair happened.
Yeah.
And you get a little taste of hope. You get a little taste of, the goodness of God, that it can happen, pressing in, then you just want more. It's the kingdom realm is so opposite of the earthly realm. Like, the more you read, the hungrier you are. The more you taste of God, the more you want. You don't get full. And it just grew from there. My most recent event was in 2019, last year. We got to go indoors for the first time that year. We went to the National Center. We had over 1,600 people in attendance. We raised $20,000 for that Press On Foundation. That's the best I've done, and it was so awesome. I've been able to put together more gym equipment. Was able to help a local girl, Catherine Granger. Maybe some of y'all watching maybe know her. She's able to come out to my gym and use it before COVID happened, and I haven't done that. I got to get back together with her and try to work out a plan for her to come use my equipment.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been great. And then all this happens. Here we are this year, and where do you put your hope? What do you do? And another something I want to jump back to. What inspired me to go ahead and put on an event is I got in with a group of friends that are my friends to this day. I call them my umbarger friends. And I love them. The Stalkers, Cole and Shelley Britton, all the Stalker clan out there, they took me in their wing and they loved me as I was. They showed me the love of God, and it really, really helped.
Yeah.
You know, to have someone, sometimes maybe you rebel against your family, and to have someone, another mentor, just a friend come in and show you love. That's what it's all about. And I want to encourage anyone watching this that think about that. If you know someone struggling or bitter, just love them. You can't point out their faults. It does no good. It drives them further away. You got to just wrap your arm around them and love them and invite them and include them. And that's all you can do. And that's the gospel. That's the good news. What God called us to is just to show Christ's love to others, show people hope. So those are my friends still, and they helped me put on my event. Where did I leave off this year?
Well, let me share this with the audience. I really appreciate, Koben, you mentioning some of these friends who have drawn you closer to Christ, who have provided maybe accountability, maybe challenged you, blessed you, encouraged you. I'd like for our audience, if you've got a second, why don't you type in some of the people who have made a difference in your life spiritually? Koben has mentioned several of these folks that continue to bless you spiritually. And we would love for our audience, if you would just put down a name or two of people who have made a difference in your life spiritually. But go ahead. What else would you like to share?
I'll add a couple more to that question.
Okay, Adam.
Someone who's, man, I love him like a brother and he's helped me so much. Tim McManamy.
Yeah, he's good.
Alan blesses me. I love listening to him.
He's a good man.
My family. I got a good friend in New Mexico, Michael Pendleton. He grew up in Dallas, so he's a Texas boy.
Okay.
And he's, helped me so much. We've grown together. A good buddy named Chris Lawrence. I've had a lot of good people help me in my life.
So how have you sensed God's grace or presence through these other people? I mean, do you feel like God is reaching out to you through some of these friends, through some of these? How does that look for you? Do they call you? Do they send you notes? Do they encourage you with the text? How does that work?
You know, get to talk on the phone with some, especially even through COVID. It's crazy, but it's like I was more social through COVID than pre-COVID, because you think about it, and I want to encourage all of y'all watching, all of Central, when all this goes all back open, and reach out to those you think about, even when you're busy, because some people are not able to be as active or go out as much in my situation, and life goes on. You get busy and you get family, you get friends, you get going places, and you got to remember those that have a harder time getting places.
Yeah.
You got to keep reaching out to them.
One of the things Koben does extremely well, he hasn't shared this with the audience, but Koben writes notes to people, and he encourages people, not only in this congregation, but in the community. I was talking to Larry Borger the other day, and you sent his dad, Lacey Borger, notes. And Larry would get those notes, and you were just encouraging Lacey. Larry would get those notes, and he would read them to his dad, even in the last months of his life. I know that at one point you requested names from Mary McNeil of who are people in the congregation that you could maybe write a note or encourage or bless them. So I love that about you, Koben. You're doing ministry. You have been on the receiving end of God's grace and His love and His mercy.
Yes.
And then you turn around and you share that with others.
What's so awesome about God and how God's people function is it's for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, Romans says, but Jesus came to save. So that but, everything someone says before but's not true. It's all gone. Jesus loves you, and that same grace people extend to someone and love them, it's so freeing, so weightlifting to give it all to Him.
Well, it's impressive. It's impressive that you, the kind of ministry that you provide to other people. What are some other things? We've got maybe 5 to 10 minutes here to share. I'm going to open it up. If anybody in the audience would like to ask a question of Koben, we'll take a look at that here if we have some time towards the end. But before we ask any questions, what are some other things that you want to share with your audience this evening?
Back to where do you put your hope? I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
Learning, growing through all this. So COVID happens. I can't have my event this year.
Yes.
Where's my hope? Is it in my event? You know, that's what helped get me out of my rut. No, it's my event's not going to happen this year. It doesn't matter. What matters are those I love and care about, God's creation, God's people, and my relationship with Him. And it's no matter what comes our way. And knowing that bad things are not of God. It's not. There's things that happen in life, and it's a fallen and broken world.
Sure.
And we're all longing for it to be fully made perfect when Christ comes. And that's how we share, is sharing His goodness with others. And, you know, take it all away. Take it all away. What do you have left? You know, what are you really hanging on to that's more important than being free? I laid in bed one night. I want to share. And, I wanted more of God. I wanted more of His Spirit. I don't know if y'all can read my cap from here. It says, I know a ghost. And I do, the biggest one of them all. And He's so powerful and so real and present. And it's how He's shared through the way we share love for others in the communities. Love centrals, you know, becoming like Christ for the sake of, you know, who for others, and expressing it to our community. And it's awesome. But I was laying in bed, and fear, we always seem to respond to fear or love, and where is it going to drive us? And you know, I have to have help being lifted to bed still, and once I'm there, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And you know, you're stuck, and it's like a fear of, what am I going to lose? I can't get out of bed. What's going to happen? Sometimes I get a little panic attack there, and it's just having to calm back down and be like, you know, it doesn't matter what matters. And I got afraid of turning it all over, and what was I going to lose at turning it all over? Was I fearful that He was going to take away my parents? And He spoke to me, and He said, I'm not going to take away your parents. If they were to disappear in the next couple of years, if something bad were to happen, God didn't take them away. So I can release everything I hold closely. My parents who have kept me alive through this whole thing and pursued, I can let go of them. I can't hold them closer than God.
Mm.
And in that releasing, letting go of them, I don't have to fear losing them, letting go of them.
Yeah.
Because He's not going to be Him taking them away.
Yeah.
Because He's a loving Father, and I can trust Him.
Yeah.
We don't know what tomorrow holds.
That's exactly right. None of us. Now you're set up. Let me transition just a little bit. You're set up in this neat little house that you've got. It's a neat operation that you've got out there. You want to share anything with the audience about that house? You have somebody come over in the mornings to kind of help you get ready for the day, and then you have different people that might drive you around, as well as people that help you with the physical therapy. What would you share about all that?
So a day in Koben's life today. When I was 19 traveling with Dusty, I came home and Dusty was still living with his parents and he was 30. And I told my mom, hey, I want to live with you till I'm like 30 like Dusty. She's like, no. Well, I got injured and it actually turned out that way. And I got moved out of the house before I turned 31 because we were blessed. My parents got their property sold, bought a new property with a guest house. It's going to be so good for both of our relationships, freeing for our own space. And so I live in a little guest house. I have a nurse that comes over 4 days a week to get me up. It used to be my parents every day. She has to lift me out of bed, lift me to a shower chair, roll me into the bathroom. She has to help me use the restroom. That is, I mean, some people just need to know what it's like being a quad. I mean, it's kind of humiliating, but I have to use a suppository. I can't insert it in myself, so I have to have help with that. And it's so freeing and good for my parents to have that break. Thanks Central so much for helping with some of the expenses of that nurse. That is so huge. Thank you guys. And once I'm finished with that, I shower off, go back to my bed, get dressed, get up for the day. I'm in my chair. I'm good to be all right for a couple hours. I'll get breakfast made, whether it's my parents or Dorinda, and then around, either sister will come over with lunch, or maybe a college student will come over and help with lunch, and I start therapy around 1:30 or 2:30. Like Greg was telling you, my gym, I'm not in this chair for 4 hours in the afternoon, from 1:30 to 5:30 or 2 to 6, and I am trying to move my body. Yeah. And it's anything from practicing standing to doing setups, and
you're working it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get back as much as I can. It feels so good to exercise. I utilize WT students. I hire them through the career services there, and they're usually pre-PT bound or OT bound. I've had some awesome kids come through. Brendan Carter, Lauren Carter, Brooke Castleberry, they've all graduated from their schools. Like Brendan and Brooke just graduated this year with their doctorate in physical therapy. So they've moved on to greater and better things. I work with the young undergrads, so it's a good experience for them and me. And then, yeah, I have to have help getting lifted to bed.
Yeah.
Some of the trials I've experienced now here during this COVID is April 1st, terrible day.
April Fool's Day.
There's no fooling around. My catheter, these are some of the current complications I still have to deal with.
Yeah.
My catheter got plugged.
Okay.
I had to have an emergency change. My parents used to do this. I just called Dorinda up, had her come over. And it got so bad, in a normal situation, I would have gone to the ER. Because of COVID, because of the risk.
You don't want to take that chance.
I stayed home. I shoved a bigger catheter in through the hole in my stomach so it would be able to drain, but it caused autonomic dysreflexia. That is something a spinal cord injury can get when something goes wrong below their level of injury. So they can't feel it, but their body's going to do everything it can to them to tell them how, even to the point of kill them. That's the number one thing people with paralysis die from.
Okay.
I laid in bed that night, breaking hot sweats and cold sweats, my blood pressure recording 185 over 120, skyrocketing to the roof and then plummeting to 76 over 55. And I wasn't able to sleep that whole night. The spasms decreased in increments from like 5 minutes apart to 10 minutes to an hour apart. And all I could do was cry out for help in that time. And I actually found such peace of I listened to praise music that night. I couldn't sleep. And I just praised God for what he was, because I know he's good. And I know that he didn't cause something like that. That's not from him. That's an accident that happens in life, and they stink. And I still have to deal with health issues like that.
Yeah.
But God loves me.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hurt his children.
Yeah.
That's not the God I love and know.
One of the questions that has come in here from Riley Lutz, who works up here at the church now, she's been a wonderful addition. She says, what are some of your favorite scriptures or books of the Bible or sayings? Do you have any favorite scriptures or books of the Bible that you'd want to share with our audience?
Oh, yeah. One of my real favorites is the Psalms, David.
Yeah.
I memorized the scriptures. I don't know where they're at. So know it's in the Psalms. If you search it in your Bible, that's what I said.
It's there.
I would have lost heart unless I believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, here now. I would have lost heart unless I believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart.
Yeah.
Wait, I say on the Lord. That's David. Also, why am I so discouraged? Why am I so dismayed? I will put my hope in you, Lord, again. And you will renew my strength, David, again.
Yeah.
One more, John 3:16, and you got to include 17. That's like the whole Bible summed up. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but be saved. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world. He's not condemning you, but that the world through him might be saved. He's offering his salvation, his saving and healing.
Yeah, preach it. We need to have you preaching a sermon, brother.
So, and I love the Gospel of Mark because it's the shortest. and over and over he talks instantly. And instantly he was healed. And instantly.
Yeah.
And don't we want that? We want it now, immediately.
Yeah.
And it isn't always, but I love Mark. And instantly.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I think it's interesting. You and I have talked a little bit about the Psalms and about King David and some of the things that he wrote. The Psalms can be really raw. I mean, Alan talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how the Psalms can include lament, crying out to God, frustration, just disorientation. And then the Psalms can also involve hope and encourage us. What words of hope do you have for our audience as we finish up tonight? What hope would you like to share with this group, and then we'll close out?
Every single day that you wake up is another chance. It's another chance to step out and accept God's grace and to know that he loves you, and it's another chance to go extend that grace and love to your neighbor, whoever it is. And the possibilities are endless. If you quit, there's never any going. It's the end when you quit. You have no chance. You can't quit. You have to keep trying, keep striving. We're in a race, and you got to keep running. There's stuff that if I were to stop now, I won't get to experience. And the same for you. God's got good things in store for you. And even when bad things happen, he will work it out for the good. If you let him, if you partner with him. And something good's going to come out of it, no matter what, if you believe.
That's good, brother. We need to have you share that on a Sunday morning. That is good. Koben, it's been such a blessing to hear your story. You are an inspiration to people in this church. You've made a difference for the sake of Jesus Christ. We're praying for healing. We're praying for just your spiritual growth, and that God will continue to use you in powerful ways to grow his and expand his kingdom. So thank you for your time tonight. What a blessing to spend with Koben Puckett. Please keep Koben in your prayers. I'm going to close us out with a prayer, but please keep Koben and his family in your prayers. What a blessing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me close this with a prayer, and then we'll be done. Father, we want to pray that your presence continues to encourage and renew and bless Koben Puckett. Father, that you will give him a sense of hope every day, and that he will share the grace that you have given him, the spirit that you have shared with him, that he will share those things with others. Father, we are impressed with this young man and just the ways that he is making himself available for you to use him. And I pray that that just continues. Father, we lift him up to you and thank you. In Christ's name, amen. God bless everybody. Thank you for being a part of our Journey series this evening.